Oh, come on, you guys are more organized than that. Someone has to have something brilliant.
I used to do, instead, I just do email folders. So when I see an article that I think would add to or a resource, I try to like email it to myself,
Yep, I do that.
either from within my subscription, and then I try to go back to the bolus of emails from Sarah Hardy to Sarah Hardy and at least file them away into folders, email inbox folders by topic. That's another way I've done it, but I too, like, it's hard to keep up, and I get that same nagging feeling like I know there was a
Yeah.
better, more current something,
Yep.
and it's hard. It's hard to keep up.
I think it's the recording button that maybe made us a little quiet. I will put it in Google Docs. So I have my, like long list of slides, and I call it my Google, I think I say like presentations or whatever. But my presentations aren't always things that I'm going to show all of the slides during a lesson. And so I'll add extra slides within there that have those resources that you're talking about, Ellen, that I don't want to lose, or that I think might come into a conversation, or that maybe perhaps I'll want to share.
Right.
It's all in Google Docs.
For those of you who just joined, I just asked how you organize all the little pieces of information. Oh, look at Susan just did it. Thanks, Susan. And I do the email thing to myself, but then I have to like print it and put it in the file, because I do much better when I open the folder. I'm like, okay, oh, that's right. There's this new cool thing, or here's this, Instagram picture I found or whatever. I just didn't know if somebody had something amazing that they use to organize themselves. I feel so unorganized.
I have seen, years ago when the internet was sort of, well, not the internet, but there are always these bookmarking tools that you can use, and I forget now what it was called, but it was like a shared bookmarking system, so that like all of us could be on the same thing. And so if I found something on emotion coaching or something, and I bookmarked it, everybody here, when they went into that application, could see that I had bookmarked that, and then they could choose if they wanted to pull that over into a private bookmarking thing or whatever. I forget now what it's called.
Was it Pocket?
What?
Pocket is a really good one. If you go to getpocket.com, you can kind of tab things, but that wasn't it. Okay.
It wasn't, but it's like that, right? And I think that that's the problem with new technologies, right? Is that something is real big and it's used by a lot of people, and then, like Pinterest, and that it's used by a lot, and then it's hard to keep up, and then something new takes its place, and then Google buys it and then it becomes part of everybody's Google tools for the people that are using Google too. So I think that it's more of it's less that we're organized, Ellen, and that we're not organized, and that finding tools that are good to continue to use, and that we remember how to use them, and then I blame it on tools rather than the organizer.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. That makes me feel better. Thanks, guys. If anybody thinks of anything or finds a way to kind of organize all those little bits of information from all across the interwebs, let me know.
Yeah, I think it's a common thing. Well, welcome everybody. It's nice to see you. Here we are a week later. We had a nice conversation last week, and Ellen, it was great to see you reach out and want to hear the conversation. It motivated you. I hadn't posted it yet, so that was a good reminder. Some of you were at the I won't even try to remember. I have something about reflective supervision, and I see that Carrie is here too. So I'll just start by asking if you would share something about last week's meeting, training, professional development activity that happened.
I'm going to need to find my notes. I think Lucy Bauer was there too. Hi, Lucy. I'll find my notes though.
I got my notes. They just talked about the domains for mental health that you need, it's connection, create. So the things you need to do to feel good, both in your professional and personal life. So connection to community, under like feeling a sense of creativeness and really getting yourself into beauty and noticing that beauty. Productivity, getting anything done that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. This doesn't, that sometimes it's folding a load of laundry. Sometimes it's finishing one lesson plan. So it was nice because we kind of talked about both the professional and the personal stuff. Embodiment, so to be in your body and connect to it. Novelty, doing something new. So anything, taking a different direction to work or changing up your routines really lights up parts of our brain that shake us loose from being stuck. Yeah, I don't know, Carrie, what did I forget? Oh, and play. We talked a lot about play and how we need to play more, that it's really good for us. So anything else to add, Lucy or Carrie?
Welcome, Greta and Karen. It's great to see you both. I had just asked if those who were at the professional development experience last Friday would share any notes or what it was like. And Ellen, as Carrie's pulling her notes, and Lucy, if you have notes too, could you just say like who the speaker was and what the title was for those of us who weren't there?
So Merritt Appledorn was the presenter, and I honestly don't remember the title. I think, Carrie might remember the title, but certainly remember the topic. But I think I was very interested in attending because I had seen Merritt work with Kathy Flaminio several years ago, doing a 2-session series that they called Moving Mountains, where they talked a lot about the embodiment and how what's going on in our bodies and our minds are connected, and how we can use that knowledge, to help us figure out how to be with families and kids when they're in different places, in what she described as the mountain, like and basically where are you, in your body, mind, feeling. So that's Merritt's history for me, is that I'd seen her do that presentation before, and I really appreciated it. And I think she used the term booster along with her 5 areas, and I thought that was a really great way to explain that each of those things that support our mental health can do a better job when we add a booster. So if somebody can, and I don't have my notes, so I'm gonna go, but I think play would be an example of a booster, or movement, yoga, something like that, and then connecting that to an area of mental health. Carrie, did you find your notes? Can you do a better job of connecting those two?
I did
don't have
find
my
my
notes.
notes. I don't know why. I just felt like I had to have them, but it's probably better even just to say, what my takeaways were. But it's interesting to hear 3 different people who attended and a little bit different take on it. I did the boosters. One of them was mindfulness and one was play. And the other one was agency, which is making a difference or connecting to a bigger purpose or mastery. But a couple of things that stood out to me, I really liked the phrase, access the pharmacy in your brain. I love that. And I love how she connected it to how these things do that and help our brains to release those hormones like dopamine and serotonin and things like that, and why it works as well. And then another piece I liked is that those 5 areas that Ellen named off, she also called them self-care snacks. And I just liked her take on self-care in general. And she said it's things that take 3 minutes or less. And I liked the things that kind of you could just work in your day. And one of them that I decided to start was the novelty piece of just taking something you do in your routine and doing it differently. So I've done that a few times this week, and just kind of fun. It'd be like if you were still driving to work. I don't know if some of you are, but taking a different way to work or sitting in a different place to eat than you normally sit or something like that. I don't remember the brain science behind it, but it does something good for your brain to do that. So yeah, those are a couple things that I got from the training.
Yeah, I love the self-care snacks because I think that's something we can really keep sharing with our families, and that self-care isn't a bubble bath and, wine for 30 minutes or an hour. Like 3 minutes of deep breathing is a self-care snack. Doing some gentle stretching or just locking yourself in your bathroom for 3 minutes while your kids are banging outside on the door. You know what I mean? Just so that there's not a little human on you. So I think that's a really important message to perpetuate.
I obviously wasn't there because I was here. But as you guys are talking, somebody on my Facebook feed who is, she's in children's mental health on campus. But she's also in my choir. So she had posted this thing that's called Hacking Happiness Chemicals. So it's different types of hormones that are released by different types of activity. So I thought maybe that was somewhat related to what you were just talking about.
Just this morning, I used a visual and I'm trying to figure out how to get it into the chat at this very moment. It has the four happiness ones listed and several things that you can do. It's just in my class this morning. I maybe I'll ask Ellen after class, but it has dopamine being the reward, oxytocin the love, serotonin the mood, endorphins the painkiller, and then it has like 4 or 5 listed activities that do that. And then I had the parents just say, what do you feel is your preferred thing? Because they're even talking now about personalities based upon your pharmaceutical, the chemicals in your body, like those who are really into reward chemical and they're, achievers and that they go that direction. But if I can, maybe Ellen, you can help me at some point get this. It was an item that was on like Facebook or something, but it's cute. It's
4 squares of 4 different
Yes.
colors.
Yeah.
If you I have it in my Brene Brown discussion group Facebook feed, if
good.
anybody subscribes to that. So I'm trying to figure out how I can share it to
That'd be
this.
awesome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. So if you find it, that's great. It was kind of a nice icebreaker today to how do you hack happiness kind of thing.
Chemicals. Yeah. How do you hack happiness chemicals? Let's see.
Isn't that what I just posted?
Is
that
it?
what you posted?
In the chat?
Oh, maybe.
It's the same content, but it's got a cutesy graphic. To go
Okay,
with
so
it.
this mine was just somebody copied it down. Okay.
Mhm.
I just put in the chat some slides. Like I had shared earlier, I don't always use all the slides in every presentation, but it's kind of when I commented a few weeks ago after we had talked about pandemic, self-care and pandemic parenting, I grabbed all of the things that everybody here shared and put them all in one presentation so that I could grab them later. And that graph, somebody shared it here. So it's in here. If you click on the link, that little graphic will be in there.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Nikki. Woo, yay. Okay.
Isn't it amazing? I know, Nikki, that you were like my number 2 on my, I want to remember to talk about this stuff this week and the slides that you had shared with me. So please do take a look at those. I mean, they're amazing and they're a wonderful example of what comes out of the meetings.
It's all your thoughts. They were not original to me.
I think I found the graphic. I just posted it in the chat.
It is in this. Yep, it's the same one. The one that I saw in the Brene Brown thing was handwritten like on a whiteboard, but it's the same stuff.
So Sarah, will you also put the link in the chat for the Brene Brown thing? You know how much I love her. And
Yeah, you bet. I don't know if this link will like translate if it stays sticky to my Facebook account or not, but let's try it. There you go. Oops, hold on.
All the things that we're learning because of COVID, right? So we're getting savvy people. We're getting savvy.
This is what I keep telling my families. I'm doing an elementary parents group, and like, we have adapted. We are coping. You know, and actually, so in Edina, all the schools just contracted back to all online, as did most of the neighboring counties here and or cities and private schools. And that lands like a thud for parents who really felt like hybrid was, or even full-time in person was better for them. But you know, this is different this time. We've already done this once before. And there's like the hopeful news that came this week with the vaccine and the promise that there are several others similar to it in pipelines. And like, this is going to end. The truth that this is temporary is easier to believe, to lean into now than it was certainly in March and April, when there was so much less that we knew and it was all such a shock. So it didn't work. Shoot. Oh well. I'm just looking at the chat. I mean, I could maybe do like a print screen, but I don't know how I would share that with you.
Well, and also without getting into politics, and I'll try hard not to, but for what added it to me, for me, was the immediate, like the number one thing that the president elected was to announce the COVID task force. And it was really nice to see Michael Osterholm as part of that. But that it's just like, oh, finally, right? Like that we're going to have leadership on this with people who are like scientists, and we'll have maybe some sort of collaborative strategy or something. But yeah, that plus the vaccine news, and blue skies and sun, always helpful.
And finding out you're going to be a grandma. First one, yay! Sorry, I had to do it. It's just been a joyful week, I tell you. It's been the hard week, but it's been blue skies. The silver linings are great. Sorry.
Oh, that's great.
I'm curious, show of hands, is there anybody who's going to still be in person? Are we all distance? Greta, you guys still are. Jennifer, you still are too. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we are until Tuesday. They just made the call.
Yeah, we are till next Friday, and then we're done.
Cambridge K-12 is going distance next week, but community ed is staying open. So that's how things are happening here.
And now that you mention it, Edina Early Learning Center is still going for now. So K-12 is distance, but the Early Learning Center programming, what there is of it, is still happening in person for now. I'm not sure how that shook out, but that's what they decided.
In Minnetonka, they've tightened up from the kind of oldest age down, but we're hanging in there for today. And but I'll be curious if we do go to virtual, whether that, like, what ages that'll cover. They might decide, EK1 will still going in person and everybody else tighten up. Don't know.
Faribault, and I teach in Owatonna, and Faribault is having their early childhood still meet in person. Owatonna will be going virtual for everybody starting, next week they start for 6 through 12, they'll go virtual. And after that, it will be all E through 12 will be virtual, but it's temporary. Hopefully, they're hoping to just have some time for people to come back from Thanksgiving, and see if they have symptoms, then they know to stay. There's no school to go to, and hopefully then they're planning on hopefully reopening in second week of December.
Oh, see, Northfield are like, nope, we're not coming back till maybe January. Like, there's no discussion after Thanksgiving. So ECFE is done by then anyway, but
I think that's what they're doing in Faribault as well.
Have they increased the availability of testing?
I haven't heard that no one's able to get a test, so I'm not sure, not really paying attention to that.
Because it seems as then, and maybe it's because I was, partly I think I worked as in the elections and then got a thing from Ramsey County, like encouraging everybody who worked in the polls, like to get a test just as a precaution. But they're setting up additional testing sites all over the Twin Cities. So they're having a 2-day event, and I just shared this with my undergrads because the Star Tribune just had a thing about encouraging all 18 to 35-year-olds to get tested, since the little buggers are our main source of spreading, it seems. And but there's like a big 2-day event on campus, but then all of these additional free testing sites around the Twin Cities that I think is like an increased encouragement to, rather than when you have symptoms, here are places to go. But this is like symptoms, no symptoms, just spit in the tube and, you'll get your results.
That's definitely available in the St. Cloud area. And it feels like the free testing sites, and then it seems like the several different options through, say, Centricare or through the Department of Health free websites. So I think it's more available. And our early childhood services, we are in distance learning as of now and through January 4th, as is the whole school district. So that's kind of the status.
Do most of you run on a semester system, or are you on a whole year system, or how do your different programs work in terms of registration?
We have in 196, we have 3 different signups. So like fall, winter, spring. So we're just about to 4. Oh, well, Karen,
summer.
We didn't do summer this year, so I guess I
We didn't do
forgot.
summer this year, right? But otherwise we have summer.
Yeah. In summer's like a 4-week program, but so we're about to put out a catalog, and we just went to distance yesterday, got the message. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but.
Right.
Owatonna actually started their registration for winter today, the same day that we got the announcement that we're going distance learning. So be interested. I don't work on Fridays, so it'll be interesting to find out what happens with that.
So I have a question, because we went distance the beginning of November, and we're having a new meeting December 4th to find out if we're coming back or not. The buzz right now between the teachers is we're probably not coming back till after the 1st, just because why come back for 2 weeks and then be off for Christmas? But I guess my question is, because we're going distance and early childhood does not work real well in distance, they might be talking about disbanding early childhood until next fall. Anybody else going or hearing that buzz?
I know we really try hard to keep it going as best as we can, because if we stop, then we have a precedent.
And that's what we're afraid of, is that if we drop and there's a lot of people that need this
Right.
service, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that we would totally lose to whatever other program or whatever other, homeschool or whatever it is that they choose to do, that come next fall, we're going to have to start back from basically square one if we disband everything.
Right.
So
You got to keep the connection. Like
exactly.
And we're just talking about our last week is going to be virtual. And I feel like next week, I mean, I'm in Rice County. Our numbers are through the roof. And I think a lot of families are not going to want to come in our building next week. And I think we need to offer for them, you can come to class or you can attend virtually. Because if they don't attend with us virtually because they're not coming in person, that's going to be it's going to be 6 weeks between when we see them and when we see them now and when we see them in January. And I feel like even 1 week, you guys, one more week to keep the connection with families is really going to help. So anything to keep them connected.
Well, and I think that's, the family pieces are always our first and foremost piece here, but also there's that precedent. Well, they didn't really need to be doing their program, so we really don't need them as a part of our structure. And I don't want that to happen with any of our programs, because we are needed in the community. And even if it's different than what we normally do, we are still doing something.
Carrie can add more to this, but we are in a 2-semester system. Carrie put that in the chat. And so that means that we have been working on a catalog, which will be published for the winter spring. And it also contains our following fall. So we have a split catalog. So we're planning that when we come back after January 4th, I mean, we're presenting that as following the same schedule the same class groupings and things that we did in the fall, which we had a reduced number of classes. So not everything that we usually would ran in the fall, and we'll continue that limited schedule in the winter spring, with the addition of virtual programming that we didn't have before. So we're going to have and I don't remember exactly how many offerings there will be on that virtual page, but so the classes that have been running will continue to run. And right now they're doing distance learning as of this week with the support of Parentopia and so forth, and Google Meets and that type of thing. Then when we resume, after the January 4th time, we're still in the same semester that we start with, because we split our semester exactly halfway through the year. I mean, we don't necessarily follow the K through 12 semester trimester system. We look at how many Mondays are there, and then we split the Monday class as evenly as possible. And so most of our classes conclude mid-January, not always the same week. So our families will have time to process the idea of what to do in the winter. And the same families that were in the fall groups, we're going to try to keep them together in the winter spring classes, rather than have them move to a different class, which can be typical because the children's ages will change. So those are differences. And then the new virtual offerings will be in that winter spring catalog. Then in the fall, we're going to try to go back to our original fall schedule, that we typically would do in the fall. And we're not sure what we'll do with all the virtual parent things, because we really don't know how much people will enjoy them and what will be happening there. So I don't know how, Carrie, if you want to add anything to that for how we're going to do winter spring.
Well, funny thing is I work in the same place and now I don't remember. But I thought we are also offering the online classes in the fall. Did we decide to keep those or not? We talked about sort of overbooking ourselves and figuring it out later, and to offer all of it, the online, the in-person, and just because to know now what we're going to be doing a year from now is like impossible. But maybe Lucy remembers what the final decision was on that. I don't even know.
One of the hazards of working remotely from each other is that it's hard to follow all those email chains and figure out what all those conclusions were too. So I'm not sure, Carrie. We better decide by the end of the day today. Well, and also Carrie didn't mention, I thought she might when she's on, but I mean, several of our staff are doing home visits and one-to-one and those kinds of things, in collaboration. So, yeah, so those parts of our program are continuing, some virtual and most virtual, I would guess. Carrie can talk more about that if she wants to.
Yeah, my job is mostly home visits, but I am part of the ECFE team, and we have done them all online since we came back this fall. and we're told that we would not be going into families' homes at all for the entire school year. So in a way, my job has kind of stayed consistent, but also just a lot of flux and change with all of the ECFE kind of going back and forth, and how, they change all of our meeting times all of a sudden. So everything has to be rearranged, and they change the teacher workday, and lots of changes and adaptations, no matter what we're doing right now, I think.
Carrie, can I ask from a technology standpoint, how has the virtual meetings with families for home visits, has that continued to work? There have been families with challenges with access?
There have been challenges, and we've been able to figure it out. I had one family that kind of lost access to everything, and it was an issue. I'm not sure how much I want to say on a recorded. We had to do some advocacy, and Pacer was helpful in that situation, because the child also had a special education plan. But I know I asked on this group how many of you are offering hotspots and devices, and how's that going? And that's been a little bit more rocky, I think, in early childhood in our district, in getting all of that secure for families who need it. But it's been going pretty well otherwise. Sometimes families are just using their phone, and that works too. So whatever they have, we try to get them connected.
Yeah. I mean, I have undergraduates that attend our Zoom meetings on their phone, and that's not an access issue. I think that's just, they're laying in their jammies and just pulling their phones up. So, so I mean, if there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, with home visits, that was the one thing I thought of, because, to offer classes through Zoom meetings and so forth, is like a choice in a lot of ways. But from a home visit standpoint, it seemed like that, depending on people's access to technology and local resources to help families access technologies, that could be an issue. So
I have a comment and a question for Carrie and others who are still home visiting. And my comment isn't the home visiting related thing, but Carrie, when you mentioned Pacer, I was reminded that I had discovered a resource that was new to me. I'm sure it's not new at all. But in Pacer's newsletter, their most recent one, they were talking about their adaptive or their assistive technology lending library, so that people can basically try before they buy. And I was not aware of that before. And I know that a lot of our families, if they're thinking about buying a high quality piece of equipment for their kids, or I know I just had one that bought something for her son. I was really impressed by how large that lending library really is. So I thought I would comment on that if others have access, or for sure people that are in the area, to Pacer with that lending library. But my question is about having to do with home visits. And that is, I've had a lot of home visits, and the technology piece has been, for the most part, fine. But I have not yet until now had to navigate using an interpreter during those visits, but I do have one coming up, and we have our organization that we use. So, I checked in with them, and it's the same protocol. We send an email, and they just said, send us the link, and the interpreter will be on. But my biggest question is, for home visiting, we've had so many helpful things along the way about even like where we place our interpreters, right? So that the parent is facing us, and that the conversation's not really between the parent and the interpreter. And so now that dynamic, right? We can't place an interpreter behind the parent so that it's just the two of you facing each other. Have you or anybody else had that experience now, that if it's you and a family and an interpreter, you're all three right on the screen in front of each other, or developing that relationship with the family and not the family to the interpreter?
We just
Yeah, I
did it
can
with
see what
conferences. We just did it with conferences where it was, we had an interpreter on, and it worked very well. I mean, we didn't have any issues. I mean, home visiting, you might be more dealing with issues that might be more difficult. But I mean, I feel like it went really well. And it wasn't uncomfortable at all. So,
And I had a situation in which, although we were all on the Zoom, the interpreter muted herself and called the parent and did the translating over the phone as they were listening to it on Zoom. So I didn't hear the translation. I saw it happening. And the reason that happened is because there were other people on the Zoom who spoke another language, who spoke English or didn't understand whatever the language was they were interpreting. So that's why.
Thank you. That's some of the tips and tricks that I'm wondering about, just because I'm concerned a little bit that the family will then be looking at the interpreter as, you know, that they're going to create the relationship with the interpreter, because there is that face-to-face and that understanding. So that is helpful. Any other pieces or tips that anyone else has played with interpreters?
I had used an interpreter a time or two in the spring for a whole class of parents where one parent needed an interpreter, and I did what I set it up the way Karen did, with the interpreter on a separate phone line with the parent. But it crashed and burned because the parent was such a emerging English learner that it was really challenging to communicate which number to call and which number to dial in with, which number to zoom in with, like which link to use for which. And then the interpreter, even though the company said that they had explained it to the interpreter had no idea what was going on. And it was 5 minutes after the start of class, and the parent just dropped off, unfortunately, because I think they were so frustrated and kind of embarrassed about how messy it was. So I think in a mixed group of parents, it's much more challenging than if you're just servicing the needs of a single family with a single interpreter.
This question is probably going to have to be waited till next week. Sorry, but because we did go virtual, we are now coming up to a screening appointment that we have to do virtual. How has that worked in other districts? Because I'm looking at the information going, oh, is this going to be easy, hard, what?
We've been doing them virtually. You just use the ASQ3, and we put everything into an Adobe sign that we could, and then we mailed the ASQ3 and then just have them drop it off in a secure block box outside the school. And then we call them and we walk through everything and sign off. It's really actually pretty smooth. The only bummer about the ASQ3 is it's a parent report. And so you never put your face to you don't see the child, and you don't have to have the weight and the height yet. You can get that from a doctor or whatever that way. And also vision and hearing, you can do rescreening that. You can screen for that later, or you can ask for a doctor report. It's pretty smooth. I'm surprised, and I think you'll find it successful. Yeah. That's my input, that other people might have something else.
No, thank you. It looked easier than I'm making it, I think, but I was just worried because you have to make that phone call. And so, yeah, how much is it? It's all parent input. So how hard is it to really determine, yeah, maybe this child might need help, but how much of it is parent? How much of it is really, really truthful? So that's more where I'm struggling, I guess, than, yeah. Because it's hard when you can't see them face to face. So.
Well, and is there an option for a piece of the face-to-face component as well? Because I think I hear you saying, Greta, that you're walking them through after you receive the ASQ3. You're also meeting with them about that. And my other question has to do with your linking them to resources afterwards because it's virtual. are there things that you have already created, perhaps flyers, maybe you've added QR codes or things that other people are doing that is the follow-up to screening that would normally happen if we were there in person?
I haven't done that, but those are great ideas. I mean, I have my typical things that I will mail out if we talked about them, but I haven't developed QR codes or anything, but you sure could. Yeah. And I'm just doing it on the phone, so I'm not seeing them. But if you did have a concern, or if they have a concern, you could do a Zoom meeting another time or something, and, you know, engage the child just to listen for speech if you need to do an if you have any of those tools. But I've kind of passed those on to our intake group for special ed. So I also got, since it's quiet, I also got permission from our school to write their name in the signature line to finalize it. If you can get permission to that, and then it's complete and done. You don't have to follow up and send it out and get it back or anything like that. You just have to go through the district to make sure you have permission. And I have them on the phone. I say, I'm writing your name in right now, you know, that kind of a thing. So.
Greta, I'm glad that you mentioned that. I think even something that seems that simple can be a holdup. You know, I mean,
Pivot sounds so nice and compact and easy, doesn't it? You know,
it
let's
does.
Pivot.
I can't tell you the number of forms that I've gotten that have been like, no, you need to print it off, sign it in your hand, right, and then scan it in and then send it, or use a special Adobe software that opens up a signature thing, right? And, you know, and it's just like, okay, I can do that. Like it's a pain in the ass, but I can do it, right? But I just think of the wealth of folks that need things to move along in a system. So to be able to have somebody on the phone and say, I'm signing your name. You're good with that? I'm good with that. Let's move on. That's great.
It's helpful. We are doing a couple things with that nursing home. I just want to tell you again. So we added for Thanksgiving making placemats. And then we're going to send them so they have placemats to eat off of over Thanksgiving. So that's a little something that the group came up with. I think anybody could do if you are interested. And then we're going to have trees, and we're going to decorate winter trees on the lawns. And so we're going to have families can come over a period of time. We'll spread them out so they're distanced, and we're going to have tables where they can decorate something that they can bring their own and hang on these winter trees outside, so that and then we're going to put lights on them so that they can see those winter trees. So it's just kind of exciting. If anybody's looking to develop a relationship with assisted living or nursing home facility, it's been awesome. So 2 more little things. Anyway, I'm so hopeful, and it's not because I'm going to be a grandma, but I am very hopeful. Oh, this feels so much better. I love these hormones. I love these chemicals so much better, you guys. Oh my gosh. So anyway, sorry.
Hey, while we're still together, oh, am I muted? No, I'm not. Can we try something on Zoom? I've been investigating, there was a thing that came through, I think it was KQED, Mindshift or something, but it was about, you know, in my world, undergraduates always shut their cameras off, right? And all of these, and so there was a whole article about ways that you can engage participants on a Zoom call to keep their cameras on, and a lot of and so they were starting with like games, right? And my problem, the challenge that I have is that I have like 47 students, and so they don't all fit on one screen. So the other like 2 screens are all, you know, black screen. But anyway, but I thought, well, I've got a nice smallish group with the Perfect Connections folks. My understanding, and so this is the thing, is like doing the thing where like I go like this, and then underneath, and then the next person like goes like this, and then they take what I'm doing and then they pass it over, and it's like you can do like pass the hat, pass the cup, pass the mug, right? And so I wanted to try that with you to see if it works, because my understanding is my Zoom view is not the same as everyone else's. And so if I go like this, I think I'm dropping my highlighter. I'm giving my highlighter Sarah Hardy. Right? I know, look at you all, right? So I'm really flummoxed on how this passing game can work unless, because like if I go like this, okay, I'm passing it to Ellen. And even if I go like this, Ellen's not going to know I'm passing it to her. You know, it's not like we can even wait for her to see the mug because she can't see the mug. So is there some sort of a setting that is like the host view is what everybody else's? I just don't know how this game can work.
Susan, I think whoever's recording it, so if you're recording it, you would need to tell us what order or what we're doing, because we have to do it according to what's on your screen if you're recording it. So it won't look right to us, but it will turn out on the video. So I think it's a little more complicated than it looks in the videos.
But you want us to all have the same screen. Is that what you're saying? Susan, you want us to all have the same screen?
I'm just trying to figure out how it would work, because when you watch the video of it, it's seamless. Like I can go like this to drop something down, and the person below me is going to know to go like this as though they're grabbing what I'm sharing. And that would be Sarah Hardy. And then Sarah would go like this. And so the box to her right, or our left, in my view, would be Lucy. Right. And so I don't know quite how that would work. If it's one thing if it's a fixed screen, right? But so that if I go like this, Sarah's going to know because, right, exactly. And then Sarah, pull your hand down. Right. So it would work like that. Right. But that's only if Sarah knows that she's below me in the Zoom gallery.
You'd almost need, oh, go ahead, Greta.
They must have taken time to figure out who's, like Carrie said, who's on your screen. So you would beforehand tell us the outline of where we are. Nobody can enter or leave. Everyone has to stay. And then from there, they know I'm coming after Nikki. And then I'm going to be passing to Karen.
Yep, it has to be coordinated ahead of time. Yeah.
You have to think it through ahead of
Shares
time.
her screen. We can all see that though. So then we would see Susan's screen if she shares her screen with us. So I wonder if they were screen sharing when they did it, because then we would all be in Susan's order.
Can we try that?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. And you know that the whole reason I'm doing this. Okay, let me do this. Here. Good video. Wait a minute. How?
You have a lot of things open there, girl. Wow.
I have, okay, wait a minute.
I love the personality of screens.
Yeah.
Home screens. What does it say about us?
You just need to go back to the Zoom call, right?
There. Okay, now are you seeing it?
No.
We're still seeing your desktop.
And you don't see your faces?
No.
We see the
on the side.
Yeah.
But if you go back to your desktop, like you share, but you go back, did you share your entire screen?
I did. Yeah.
It doesn't work this way.
No.
All right, so let me go to stop. I'm going to stop share. Okay, there we go. And then if I hit share screen and I hit share.
How about if you do a snapshot just of your screen, save that, and then share that picture?
Okay, I did do that. I did take a picture. So let me pull the picture up.
But every time you've gone back and forth, my pictures have changed.
Yeah.
People are.
Okay, so this screenshot was taken at, I don't know, 12:40. So this was taken about 15 minutes ago. Okay. It just seems way more complicated than it needs to be. See, because now it changed. Because someone just left. And now it's different. So now Sarah's still behind me, still underneath me. I have nobody atop of me. Shelly's over here. Shelly's over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ellen.
Susan, are they doing that on Zoom or is it a different platform?
Yeah. So just forget about it. The other thing that is easy to do is that I wanted to try is a group hug. Now, and the way that you would do it is like everybody like put your arm, but you can't show your hands or your wrists. So you would have to like go like this.
Cute.
Yeah. Yeah. That way you're all like you're hugging, but you know, like it feels like everybody's arms are coming in.
That's cute.
Okay. All right.
I've also seen the high fives, like the virtual tens.
Cute.
Can you do that? All right. Thank you for humoring me. Like I said, and even if this worked, I can't, like I can't do it with my undergrads because there's so many pages that I wouldn't be able to see them all. The final one that I saw that was, could be a potentially fun game is you identify objects that are around like on your desk, and then you turn it into a game where you go, hold up a pen, and everybody like holds up a pen that has one, right? And then you go, okay, now hold up a coffee mug. And basically it's like a contest. So then you count up the number of items that people have that they're able to hold up. And then you have like a golf score winner, which is like the lowest score. And you applaud that person for having like very few things around them. And then you have like a basketball score and you have somebody who like had all of the items or something like that. So
cool.
What it's like to teach undergraduates. You got it.
Good luck, Ellen.
Yeah, thanks. My email exploded while we were sitting here. So, and I told, we were supposed to have class through next Friday, and now they're saying no class after Wednesday. So I just told my families today, I was like, I'll see you next week.
Oh.
Okay. Bye, guys. Good to see you all.
Yeah, good to see you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, bye, you guys.
We'll check in next week.